I'm so thrilled that this book, The Boy Who Loved Everyone, written by me and illustrated by Maisie Paradise Shearring, has been chosen for the shortlist of the Little Rebels Award. I'm going to have a chat to Maisie in a minute about how thrilled we both are and a little bit about how Maisie made the illustrations from the book. But first of all, I'm just going to start by telling you where the story came from. It's a story that's very close to my heart because it has come straight from real life. I go to a nursery once a week, and there was a little boy at the nursery who used to tell everybody he loved them all the time, and it was very striking. Wow, what a difference that made to everyone and how they responded in very different ways. So if there's one message I want people to take from the book, it's how important it is to really listen to what children are saying, because they just have so much truth in their hearts, and I think it's really important to engage with that and learn something from it. So I'm just going to read you a little taste of the beginning of the book, and then have the chat with Maisie. It was story time. Everyone wriggled until they were ready to listen. Dimitri was new at nursery. He leaned his head on Liam. "I love you, Liam," he said. Liam didn't know what to say, so he said nothing. The teacher began the story. It was about a dragon, a volcano, and a magic teapot. At morning play, Dimitri found Sophie, Stella and Sue. "I love you," he told them, but they giggled and ran away. So Dimitri went to the tree with the big heart-shaped leaves and put his arms around it. "I love you, tree," he said. The tree didn't reply. Some ants marched past. "Hello, ants, I love you," said Dimitri. But the ants kept on marching. I won't read any more now, but let's see what Maisie's got to say about the book. Hi, Maisie.
Hello, hi, how are you?
I'm all right, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. I like your backdrop with the book propped up.
Yes, I went to a bit of trouble to polish my plan chest. So Maisie, isn't it great news about the shortlisting for the Little Rebels Award?
Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. I'm so excited about it.
Me too.
It's lovely, the idea of more people getting to see the book as well, and hopefully it reaching out further.
Exactly. And I love the fact that it's from independent bookshops and it's celebrating that sort of spirit of rebellion.
Yeah,
really
it's a perfect list to be on.
So Maisie, what I really loved about working with you on this book, apart from the wonderful artwork that resulted from it, was the process of you coming into the nursery and meeting everyone there, including Olive, the teacher, and all the children, and spending a couple of days sketching. So how did you find that process?
Well, for me, I loved it because when I make books, usually that is my process, to draw from life, to look around me, sort of when I go out, even just shopping or, anything. If I'm going to the supermarket, I'll be looking out for things that might inspire a story. So this story is so special for so many reasons, but I think the fact that it was inspired for you by something you'd seen, which then matches up with my process, was really, like, in terms of collaborating on a book, I think that made things really gel. And then on top of that, the fact I was actually able to go into the nursery where you got the idea from the story and kind of create a full circle in terms of the research. Like that to me. Yeah. So for me, for all the books I've made, the sort of research process of, going from looking at the nursery, developing the characters, also getting on with you so we can kind of chat about things, to then the roughs to the final. It's, making books can be difficult, but this one felt really smooth all the way along, like a natural kind of steps. But what I did bring, obviously we're in different places, but this is one of my sketchbooks where I did lots of drawings in the nursery. And I'm conscious, of the light shining in. So I'm going to do a screen share now. This is one of the first sketches I did. I was a bit tentative, but I was sitting outside waiting to go in the classroom, and I loved the opportunity to see all the details. Obviously, I don't work in a nursery, and it's been a long time since I've been in one. I think because the story is, it's something based on real life. I wanted children, to see that environment that they're used to. So even that in and out system where the teachers put their photo on, that sort of thing was really valuable for me to make the environment for the book. I always tell people the biggest thing I learned was there's lots of velcro at that age. No one
there is.
And there's lots of sort of like lifting up your tops, and there's not, children tend to really huddle together. They obviously got on as a class.
Yes.
You don't have, as adults we're all a bit more awkward and stand, comfortably distance away from each other.
Yeah.
Whereas school and nursery, there's a lot more sort of, sitting on top of each other almost when you're reading books and, huddling together.
Oh, you got their body language absolutely perfectly.
Oh, thank you. So this boy, I don't know if you can see my cursor on this. So the boy with the star on his top, yeah, he was all day spent really sort of fidgeting and lifting up his t-shirt a bit.
Yeah,
and he features in the book. Yeah, so there's just lots of this really. They're not full, realistic, finished sketches, but for me, like as an illustrator, having these, it just makes the next process of making the book, to be honest, so much easier and more informed. There's much less rubbing out when it comes to the roughs.
Yeah. It just brings it to life. That's what it does.
Yeah, so I tried a few different materials when I was there just to see kind of what almost worked quickest. Is that a word?
Yeah.
And this was in the playground as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, sitting with their nursery teachers, who obviously they really got on with, and had a lot of support from. Picking their nose, there was lots of sort of nose picking. And just how they play together, all the silly ways they stand. That boy with a hat in his mouth.
I love that.
And this image here, I featured that later in the book when they're in the playground. So I was trying to make the book, alongside the love that Dimitri feels, have other moments of love around the pages. So again, to kind of push that example of love meaning lots of different things.
Yeah.
So I'll just flip through. Yeah, these were probably the most resolved images, because all the children were on a break and they were sat still having a breadstick.
With their breadsticks.
Yeah, so
breadsticks.
I was probably most pleased with these in terms of like the illustrationness of them, but that wasn't really the point of the days. But it's always nice to get something that is a bit more resolved. And I think there was a page after this where they were dancing, which was especially challenging. So yes, just from the sketches, I then went on to kind of begin to develop a character. I think that was a very rough doodle while I was on the road. And it's sort of an amalgamation of a couple of the children I saw that day, but there was one child with a lot of energy, and he kind of left an impression on me, because I think in the book Dimitri, he sort of is confidently walking over to people and speaking to people. So I think that's the character was formed from that child. And then usually I just have some fun playing around with just colour schemes, not being too precious about continuity or whether it's the right character at this point.
I love that one with the guinea pig. Guinea pig on the tummy. I haven't seen
thinking about things in the book, but that might not actually end up in the book.
Like the tiny argument. These are lovely.
And then this was starting to, I guess, develop it a little bit further. So thinking more about scenes in the book, but again, trying not to be too precious over the look of it and whether it's the exact media I'd use in the book. I had a lot of fun drawing those little ducks. And then I just included this actually as another sort of way that I'm inspired. And how my character.
Yes, I see the outfit.
So I'd drawn this picture ages ago of my nephew having his teeth brushed really angrily. I'd drawn that like a couple of years probably before this book.
Just found its place.
I hadn't really actually done this on purpose, but it was only after making the book that I saw that sketch again of my nephew having his teeth brushed.
Yeah.
In the book at this moment, Dimitri is a bit, he's a bit not that happy. So yeah, I guess it's nice to see the full connection. This is a rough for how I make, the stages after the sketchbook and the research. So it's quite detailed, and then that's obviously that rough was half of the spread.
Yes.
And then there you can see that from the roughs to the finals, the roughs are quite detailed. It's quite similar, really.
Yeah. I love all the little tiny details of this. And I remember when I showed the book to the children at the nursery for the first time. Well, first of all, they immediately said, "That's Olive," who's their teacher,
great.
and she just looks so like Olive. And then they were saying, "Oh, we've got those, we've got this, we've got that," and they spotted all the tiny details. It was just the same. It was a lovely moment.
Yeah, it did take a while painting all those cubes, and I remember that basket took me a long time.
Well, it was worth it. Maisie, I've just got to tell you about my favourite page in the book.
Oh, great.
It is. I think you probably know already. It's the bedtime scene. I mean, I love every single page, but this one here.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that is probably my favourite too. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's also one of the pages that I had I suppose I could picture it in my head, which actually often when I'm working on something, I try not to do that too much because it's a lot of pressure. But I had a real vision in my head of the feeling I wanted, and
and it's all the feeling of it, the emotion of it. You just watching that page, you feel as if you're being tucked up in bed by your mum.
It's funny you should say it because that page also has my favourite line of the book.
Does it?
Which is it's where Dimitri's mum says, "And I love you, Dimitri," she said, "you're my best boy." Because funnily enough, I almost didn't take that line in initially, and it was when I came back to paint this page, I noticed it again, and I guess it just really reminded me of being little and that feeling of your parents.
I'll tell you where that line came from. That was when my son Tom was little, and he was about 2 or 3, and he said, "You're my best mummy."
Oh. I like the line about the custard too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I was going to ask you if you had a favourite line, Jane.
If I have a favourite line?
Yeah, favourite.
It might be the same one as you, actually, for reasons already said.
Yeah, okay.
But I do. What I've realised after the book came out, and I started before lockdown, I went on some school visits with it and some bookshop visits. The bit at the beginning where there's a story and the bit at the end where there's a story are just such useful springboards for doing projects with children. So I always get them to make up a new story about the volcano, the teapot, and the magic teapot, the volcano, and the
rabbit
dragon. Yeah.
Oh,
and they come up with such great ideas. So those 2 lines would be very useful.
It was fun drawing those little spreads from the book on the
and I love the way you've drawn. You can see inside the book that the teacher's reading, and you can see those things, and the little hare, the rabbit standing on the hill at the end. Just lovely. Well, Maisie, it was brilliant collaborating with you on this book, and I'm so proud we're on a shortlist together.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's one of my favourite books I've ever made.
Oh, mine too. Thank you, Maisie.
And I'd just like to say thanks again to Little Rebels for including us on this very exciting special shortlist.
Yes, and big thank you from me too.
Great.
And thank you to Walker Books.
Yes.
Lovely to see you, Maisie.
And you, Jane. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.